Welcome to Front and Center with Jacquie Jordan.
Hi, Jacquie Jordan. Melissa Joan Hart here. I hear you have a new iHeartRadio podcast, Front and Center. That's awesome. So, here's a toast to all the people making an impact.
This is Front and Center with your host, Jacquie Jordan.
Entertainment and pop culture expert Jacquie Jordan is with us.
Two-time Emmy-nominated Hollywood producer Jacquie Jordan.
We are the show where we talk with the change agents, the storytellers, and the activators from behind the scenes, making impacts. And joining me is co-host Phillip Barbb. With show producer Stephanie Cobian.
I think the number is like less than 10% of the employees even know what the values are at a company.
Having that amount of self-awareness is half the battle.
For me, it's everything's happening right now, all possibilities in different dimensions of time.
Hi, I'm Jacquie Jordan, and we are the entertainment professionals behind the scenes in life and reality, and we are front and center. So joining me is Stephanie Cobian, our show producer on my right, and then co-host Phillip Andrew Barbb, two-time Emmy-nominated reality television show producer. We are the series where we introduce you to the storytellers, change agents, and activators who are making an impact and making a difference front and center. I know everybody keeps telling me that's a mouthful, but if you watch the whole sequence, it makes sense. We're kind of getting used to it, right? So if we could change big business, how would we be better for it, and how does that fit into today's show? Well, the reason we're talking about it today is that part of any entertainment business is the actual business of the business. And we haven't spent a whole lot of time talking about the business of the business. It's not show, it's show business. And as a business owner, as one of the hats that I wear, I feel, I have to operate with a different sense of responsibility and obligation, both to myself, the business itself, and then to the clients and vendors that I represent and I serve. And hopefully, if I'm doing that well, I'm also serving my community well. Don't say I do it perfectly, but it's definitely part of our mission statement, our value statement, and our intention to do so. And I believe that I have cultivated proudly a series of really impressive business owners in my life to help support what I do for the people that I work for and get to serve in my business. So on the show, those are going to be the next set of guests. And some of them have there happen to be all women, the rule of 3 and 1, Phil. But they happen to be very powerful business owners making different impact in what they do. Our first guest, Amy Johnson of Amy Johnson Company, was a former film executive who actually went to many film festivals and bought and purchased films. And now she is really working within personal businesses and entrepreneurial businesses, and also taking a look at what corporate structures are doing to make an impact in other values and alignment. And then in our sequence following that, I've got an anomaly because we went to high school together. And I can tell you that our high school stories would be very different than the conversation we're probably going to have today. And we reconnected, Lisa Mason, Beutel, and I reconnected on social media. She is now a Ph.D., a doctor, and has had a really eclectic career as a leadership activator is my word for it, but has worked in both the sports industries and in academia. And she's going to talk about how leadership has actually changed or not changed. And then finally, we're going to end with Monique Evans, who has intuitive coaching, and it's intuitive freedom is the business, but she works one-on-one with business owners. And I might have her put you on the spot with her about it, because she's right brain as opposed to left brain in what she does, feeling as opposed to thinking, and can really, and I've worked with her personally myself as a business owner, because I always say if you want to grow the business, you have to grow the business owner. And in that, she's got a significant gift of moving what I call like blocks and resistance to getting to where you want to be or how you want to be in the world. And
intervention. This is basically an intervention. Set me up. This is going to be an intervention today. All right.
That's why we kept you
hidden on the topics.
I get it.
Oops.
So that is like a lot of words. It's a lot of mouthful to say. And I know that what we have the privilege of doing at TV Guestbert is we do create media opportunities for our clients, but the bigger piece that is the investment piece is how are we growing their businesses? How are we growing their core businesses? And so we've got some really, really fantastic clients who've been with us. And we've got one attorney whose law firm does a lot of consumer protection law, Abbas Kazarunian. And he's been helping people like block robocalls from their phone.
I followed some of those tips.
And
it has lessened.
Exactly. And he's also been helping, especially California homeowners whose houses have caught on fire, and putting together the class action suits and who's not getting their insurance paid. And
oh wow.
Yeah, so he's kind of really doing that, and so again, it's about, I always think about how are we putting using media and opportunity to help create and activate change. So that's what our people are doing. And then I'm just really proud of our TV Guestbert publishing new book, A Psychiatrist's Guide, Stop Teen Addiction Before It Starts, with Dr. Gayani De Silva. So the three of us were chit-chatting before the show, like what are we going to talk about?
Yeah, I'm just.
What are we going to talk about, Jackie?
I'm trying to throw a joke in there every now and again. I don't know what I'm doing.
Exactly. So, but you brought up a really good point, Phil, in the conversation. Like, well, what is the point? Or is it big business's responsibility to change or not change? And that was the question you posed.
Yeah, and I think that's where I think there's a discussion obviously to be had, and I think a lot of people don't. I don't think there's one answer,
right?
On where is that line between, a business that is existing, right, purely for the advancement of the society at large, and then the complete opposite end of, as long as the company is making money, it doesn't matter who gets hurt in the process. And if those are the two wide extremes, like, where do we live? Like, where are those the extremes? Like, is it a timeline that is from point A to point B? Is it? I don't know.
No, it's a great question, because on our earlier podcast we had Siraj Raval, the young millennial YouTube star.
Oh yeah, he was great.
Right?
That was so fun.
And he talked about the benefits of artificial intelligence being beneficial.
Yeah.
But he had to acknowledge the incredible encroachment that artificial intelligence is having, both in our technology, in our personal lives, and then obviously, if it affected an election or not, that that part of the world life. And so, and that's a business. And those are coming down through businesses,
Yeah.
So
When I think of businesses, I think of transparency. Who's transparent as a business? So as a personal consumer, I use non-animal tested products. And then recently I was asked by a friend, I was telling my friend this, and he was like, do you know if your dog's products are non-animal tested? And I'm just like, as a consumer, it's tiring to find answers for everything. Jackie, we've had that. There's this product for faces that uses bee venom. And that's, again, I had to reach out to the company, like, how do you get bee venom without killing the bees? And they were
on
transparent.
a planet where we're saying there's a shortage of bees.
Yeah.
I didn't know bee venom was a thing.
Yeah.
It makes your lips get that Botoxy thing going.
Ah. Okay.
Yeah.
But
that's
the
why I don't
was
know why
transparent.
there's. Okay, it makes sense now.
Well, this isn't for the lips, this one. I don't put anything on my lips, but they gratefully responded within 24 hours. They sent a video about what they do. They sent everything that's in it. So they were a transparent company, but most big companies are not transparent. That's to me is what I worry about when it comes to businesses and consumers and where we're growing and how big this world is.
Netflix has a documentary, to your point, Stephanie, that is a really good example of transparency. It's called The Inventor: Out of Blood in Silicon Valley, which is about the business rise of Elizabeth Holmes, making her the youngest self-made billionaire and a woman, which turned out to be a scam essentially because she didn't have to provide transparency in the beginning stages of her business development. She raised $400 million to start a business. She was a Stanford graduate dropout, And she had a board of directors that was like presidential, like literally United States presidential, to do this because what she was saying is you can take a drop of blood and run all of these tests.
Yeah.
Going back to Stephanie's point about transparency, what happened was that she really, bilked everybody because there was no there to her end game. But because she didn't have to be transparent about the process to anybody, it ran on for years until they realized there was no there.
Some people got sick and got hurt.
And Walgreens invested a lot of money. You could go to Walgreens and get it, but that you'd go to Walgreens thinking you were going to get a prick, but they had to do IVU traditionally. So there was that going on, and there was a lot of confusion in the marketplace. And of course, nobody really wants to have a full IV withdrawn to have blood withdrawn as we currently do it. So it's kind of an example of what you're saying about the whole idea of the transparency.
And it can be scary. I think I hope that I'm not completely off base with this, but I do feel like I heard something where it was like, even with the FDA, like they have a case needs to be brought up against something as, hey, this may be unsafe, go look into it, versus having something where before a product can come out, it's like, all right, the FDA, Food
the Drug Administration,
it has to make sure that it is effective and does exactly what it says. It's that, no, put it out there, and then if we end up having claims, then we can take it away. And it's like, I don't know, that seems kind of
the process seems off.
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah, and I would have just
imagined.
I have no experience, but I would have just imagined that actually, as a government agency, it's just too small to keep up and test and keep innovation back if it actually had to do everything. Yeah, that's
everything is so difficult. These are such tough questions.
Well, I've got three very smart women who are putting their foot out forward, and Amy Johnson, who is our next guest, is a founder and integrator of the Amy Johnson Company. And, she's using the word integrator, which I think is really powerful. And I know when I started using the word TV guest expert, like the people were like, what? We still run
Someone corrected us once. It's guest expert. I was like,
no, it's TV guest expert.
Our company is TV guest expert.
And so when I started using that as vernacular for a guest expert on a show, which we're going to have guest experts on in a moment, at the time people were like, what is the... But now it's actually, we have it trademarked, but a lot of people use it. It's become a common vernacular, guest expert. So, I do believe in, taking a chance on branding and owning something that is literally an integration. So we're going to hear about that in a moment. So we'll be right back. In our next podcast sequence, meet the behind-the-scenes women who are making positive impact through the business of business.
Salesforce.com did do some research, and 86% of customers or consumers care about a company's ethics.
Even though we set off with good intentions, we don't always get the consequences or the outcomes that we expected.
And my job is to be the mirror and to reflect back. So I don't react. I'm in a neutral state of consciousness when I'm doing that reading, and I'm just downloading the information.
If you are doing extraordinary things from behind the scenes, from any walk of life, we'd love to hear from you. Subscribe to us on YouTube at TV Guestpert and/or TV Guestpert Broadcast Podcast. Are you ready to take your seat front and center and need some behind-the-scenes media training? Sign up for our online course, Media Marketing. For more information, go to tvguestpert.com.
Alex Detail was a child genius who saved the world from the evil harvesters. But a decade later, this mysterious alien force has returned, and Alex is no longer a prodigy. Now, in order to save the world again, he must survive his kidnapping, find his evil clone, and get his ship to the planet Pluto, where he will uncover the universe's ultimate power. Alex Detail's Revolution, a thrilling new novel by Darren Campo. Buy online or wherever books are sold.